Now, while Israeli politicians have sharply rebuked the International Criminal Court's request for arrest warrants for its top officials, world leaders' reactions are split.
Here are some of the reactions from some of the world leaders. US President Joe Biden strongly defended, saying Israeli forces are not committing genocide in their military campaign against Hamas militants in Gaza.
Let me be clear. We reject the ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders. Whatever these warrants may imply, there is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas. And it's clear Israel wants to do all it can to ensure civilian protection. But let me be clear. Contrary to allegations against Israel made by the International Court of Justice, what's happening is not genocide. We reject that. We will always stand with Israel and the threats against its security.
The Democratic and Republican leaders of the U.S. Senate condemned the move, with Majority Leader Chuck Schumer labeling it shameful.
Today, the most noxious attempt at moral equivalence comes from unelected international bureaucrats brandishing a contrived and perverted authority. In the same breath, the self-aggrandizing prosecutor of the International Criminal Court applied for arrest warrants for both Hamas chief terrorists and Israel's duly elected prime minister. It's a damning development, but not for the supposed subjects of the application. The ICC has succeeded only in discrediting itself even further as a rogue kangaroo court utterly untethered to morality or justice.
I would like to begin with a statement about the ICC prosecutor's announcement from earlier this morning. The ICC prosecutor's decision seeking arrest warrants for Israeli leaders alongside Hamas terrorists is not only profoundly unfair, but it is reprehensible. As disappointing as the ICC's decision is, it comes as no surprise, because for decades and decades, the ICC has shown it harbors deep biases against Israel. This decision, suggesting an equivalency between Israel and Hamas, is another glaring example of that bias against Israel. As I have said many times, there has never been and there can never be any equivalence between Israel's right to defend itself against terror and Hamas's barbarity. The ICC's decision seeking warrants against Israeli leaders is not only shameful, but also fails to follow protocol and process in a country where it has zero jurisdiction. I fiercely oppose the ICC's decision, and I will work with President Biden and members on all sides to keep support for Israel strong and unwavering.
The United Kingdom Prime Minister's spokesperson said that the ICC's decision is not helpful in relation to reaching a pause in the fighting, getting hostages or getting humanitarian aid in.
Meanwhile, Belgian Foreign Minister said that any crime committed in Gaza must be prosecuted at the highest level. She wrote on social media that it was an important step in the investigation of the situation in Palestine.
Germany said that the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court's application for arrest warrants created a false impression of equivalence. Germany is among the countries to have called on Israel to improve access for humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip.
South Africa, which led international efforts to brand Israel's assault on Gaza a genocide, welcomed a request to issue international arrest warrants against both Israeli and Hamas leaders. President Cyril Ramaphosa hailed International Criminal Court prosecutor Karim Khan's request to the International Criminal Court.
All right, of course, what will be the implications of this and what happens going forward? That is something that remains to be seen. For more on this, our correspondent Jody Cohen has sent us this report from Ra'anana. Listen to this.
An Israeli official has said that Jerusalem was shocked when notification of the ICC's chief prosecutor's decision came through, calling it a baseless blood libel. Remember, some prominent military experts have said that Israel has taken more steps to protect civilians than any army in military history. And while the UN quotes the average combatant to civilian casualty ratio in war as 1 to 9, the ratio in this war is said to be 1 to 1. Foreign Minister Katz said the decision was intended to prevent Israel from exercising its right to self-defense. War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz has called Khan's decision moral bankruptcy, and head of the opposition Yair Lapid has suggested that comparing Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defence Minister Gallant to Hamas is unforgivable. This is Jodie Cohen for WION World as One.